Bugaboo, where are you? Hey, Butterball. How was your nap today? Oh, there we go. What are you doing? Yeah. Bugaboo, did Mom lock you out of the RV last night on accident? Because we had the air conditioner on?
Hey, that's my Krabbies. Hey, no, that's my Krabbies. No, that's mine. Oh, Brian and Kimberly gave that to me. Dun, 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 dun. This is where we'll perform the surgery.
Who's operating and who's the patient?
I will be the surgeon today.
Okay.
You will be my lovely assistant. And that stuff down there is going to be the patient. Let me show you.
Sweet.
This is gold-plated roofing material. Costs a lot of money to ship this stuff. This is the top, this is the bottom.
Yeah, scoot those down because there's not much plastic on there.
Yeah.
That's better.
That's a staple.
This is exciting, guys.
Yeah, we've waited a long time for this stuff.
Huge milestone we accomplished. We ordered our roofing today. And it's really funny because we started our roofing quote a few weeks before Christmas, and we were worried about getting it on time before people left for the holidays. And here we are, middle of July, and we just ordered our roofing. We realized roofing, it's not simply putting panels on your SIPs. It's just not that simple. It's very complex. We'll explain all of that in a minute, why it was so complex and kind of what we decided on. But this is gonna be like one heck of a weekend. Our goal by what, Sunday night?
Yeah.
Is to have our roof watertight. Very ambitious. We are not gonna have our roofing this weekend. That's probably not gonna come for another week and a half to 2 weeks, but that's really just the cherry on top. Once we have our ice and water shield on there, like we can take a gully washer.
The journey to finding our roofing has been long and arduous. What we didn't realize when we started the SIPs was what we were getting ourselves into when it came to the roof. Everyone has the same question. What about the roof? What kind of roof are you gonna put? Aren't SIPs sensitive to water? Don't they rot? Is your roof gonna rot? And we ended up doing a ton of research and watching hours of dry, boring video about building science. Dun 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 dun. Bill Nye, the building science guy.
In the end, we feel really good about the roofing system that we've decided on. It starts with a metal roof. A lot of people have asked us, what kind of roof are you gonna do? What kind of roof are you gonna do? The answer is we're going to be using a standing seam metal roof. We're going to be getting that from a somewhat local supplier, but that's kind of just where all the problems begin. What we didn't realize is that there are lots of different ways throughout the country that people do metal roofs. Add in that we're doing SIPs, and pretty much right there, you lose any local supplier because they're like, huh?
I promise, guys, we're gonna circulate back to this stuff and what we're doing. But we got a backstory to tell before it even starts to make sense.
So here's the thing. Most normal houses are vented through the attic. If you were to go into your attic and you do not have an open rafter ceiling, you would most likely see that the insulation is on top of the sheetrock. And the attic is basically open. It's not conditioned space, so it's not heated, it's not cooled, it's basically ambient temperature. That's why if your roof leaks, it doesn't rot.
Jesse,
Huh.
I think we should show them on the whiteboard.
Oh.
Because I'm sure other people are visual like myself.
It is a little complicated. Should we drag it in here?
Let's do it.
We rescue it from the outside?
Yeah. But first... Yeah.
So the thing with a normal house, the water that is potentially damaging to our SIPs is not the water that comes out of the sky.
I think that's what most
That's
people
obvious.
think a roof is for.
Right.
And I was kind of one of those people. I didn't really understand when the attics had a purpose. I just thought, I didn't think about it. There you go.
Right. So a normal house has a roof. We have a roof. The water from outside is not an issue. It's the water from inside. Why would you have water on the inside, you might ask? Good question. So typically we cook, we take showers, we breathe, we do a lot of things that create water inside of a house, right? But during the summer, we open the door, we open the windows, and all the water goes outside and everything's fine. But during the winter, we close the doors, close the windows, and we trap all that moisture inside the house, unless you have a ventilation system. Then, as you heat the house, the air outside is cold, and the air inside is warm. And you're actually creating a pressure inside the house. It actually is pressurized. And as you do that, any cracks or voids or holes or anything in your house is going to leak air. And warm air contains moisture. So normally, if it leaked through your roof and it, say, got on the inside of your roof, inside your attic, no big deal, because you have what's called a soffit or a soffit vent. And that allows air to flow in the eave over here through the attic and back out the other eave. Or if you have a vented ridge, it flows in here and out the ridge. Or sometimes you see these little boxes up near the ridge. That's called a ridge vent. And so sometimes the air goes in the soffit and out the ridge vent. However you look at it, the air in this attic area is being exchanged with outside air. So all that cooking and bathing and breathing and stuff that you do in your house, if any moisture gets in here, it's not a big deal.
So then there's our house. We want to maximize our square footage. So instead of turning this into an attic, this is a loft. So basically all the way to the peak of this roof is conditioned living space. But if we just stick our roofing on here, that's a problem. Because what if we have a leak in our SIPs and this hot air comes out and it either hits the metal roofing and condensates and goes right back on the roof where it just sits, you know, this wet OSB roof, or it never makes it out of the SIP because we have our waterproof membrane on there. Both of those are bad. So a lot of people, that's what they do. They're just very diligent about foaming their roof so the air can't get through. But we really have no way of knowing if we foamed our roof correctly or not. We're doing the best we can. We're spending as much money as we need to on foam, but there's still no guarantees that we're not gonna have that issue.
So when we decided to move to SIPs, we realized that we're not building a conventional home, and if we have an issue with the SIPs, we asked ourselves, now what? The thing is, with a stick-framed house, if you have rot, it's often isolated, and you can kind of disassemble just the pieces that are affected, and then you could put together with new materials, and you're kind of back in business. It's not a huge deal. It's not cheap, but it's not outrageously expensive. The problem is, SIPs kind of are your house. Even though we have a timber frame and that's structural, you can't simply remove one SIP. And that's really where rot becomes a major problem. SIPs just can't be patched. So really, our research isn't necessarily aimed at SIPs specifically. This is really a common problem on open rafter houses, which is what we have, is an open rafter. So like Alyssa said, we don't have an attic, which is good and bad. So our roof has no way to breathe. It's not the water coming in the top, it's the water potentially coming out of the house. And if we were to just put ice and water shield right on top of the SIPs, our SIPs couldn't breathe. So if moisture were to make its way out, saying I did a poor job foaming the gaps between the panels, and air were to make its way out, and it were to condensate, and it would sit there. And the only option it has is to rot.
So what our research led us to as a solution is to make what's called a cold roof. Question that someone asked me that I guess I don't know the answer to, is a cold roof and a vented roof the same thing? Different term? Okay, so basically, instead of putting our waterproof membrane on our SIP and then our metal roofing on top of that membrane, we're gonna create a roof for our roof. We're gonna use furring strips, which are little pieces of lumber, 1x2, and then we're gonna put plywood on top of that. So here's the eave of our SIP. We have furring strips running every 2 feet on center. Switching back over here, that allows us to put another piece of plywood, or a piece of plywood like that. And this is all an air gap right here. And then we're gonna treat the plywood as you would a roof. This is what we're gonna put our membrane on, which is gonna prevent moisture from getting in there. And then on top of that, we're putting our metal roofing. So essentially what this does is if we have a leak in our SIPs, the hot air will come up, it'll go out through that leak, but instead of hitting a barrier or hitting the metal roof and condensating, it's now gonna come into this gap and it's gonna find its way out of the roof through the peak.
So finally, we're back to what is this white stuff on the ground? The question, once you realize that you need a vented roof or that you need a cold roof, is how do you get airflow? So most homes, as we discussed earlier, have what's called a boxed eave or something similar to that. And this portion underneath the roof is actually perforated. It has holes or slots or something that allow air to move into the attic and either out the other eave or out the ridge somewhere. Because we have a solid SIP that is completely solid, has no perforations, it has no voids. And then Alyssa explained we've added these furring strips, which add a little bit of height to the roof. So if you can kind of imagine these little channels where air can move between here, here, and that air is able to move up the roof in those small channels. But how do you get the air into the roof? So we know there's a vent at the top. That's where these little guys come in. So this product is basically a 2-in-1 product. It's both a drip edge and a vent. So the louvers allow air to enter into our cold roof, but they also provide a drip edge for water that's coming down the roof to stay away from the house. Prior to finding this product, we thought we were stuck with basically building what everyone else does, making a boxed eave, just like every other house. Except for that's just additional time, additional money, all of that to vent this little tiny space in our roof. So we're super happy that we found a product that does it all. And we had to buy drip edge anyway. So this kills 2 birds with 1 stone.
If you guys watch the rest of our videos, at least following this one, you'll really start to see this in action. So instead of showing it today, stay tuned. This vented drip edge was extremely hard to come by. I don't even know if we knew that it existed. Jesse was just thinking like, there has to be a product that does X, X, and X. There's no way there's not a product. So he searched the internet high and low and he finally found it. It's offered by one person that we're aware of, and trying to get it was an absolute nightmare. But it only comes in one color, white. We don't want white because our roof is gonna be charcoal and our windows are black. They're actually black. That white stuff's gonna be hidden. We want a solid gray roof. We have brown garage doors. Our French doors are gonna be black, and I think our siding's gonna be like a light gray. So basically we don't want white anywhere on the roof because it's not gonna match with anything. It's really just gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
In other words, pound it to fit and paint it to match.
So our local hardware store was able to color match this to the color of our roof. And that's tonight's project. We have an airless paint sprayer that we bought probably 4 years ago or so for one project, knowing we'd use it again one day and it'd be a good investment. So brought this baby home from storage, and hopefully this'll do the trick.
So in researching the vented roof, you will quickly run into a confusing question, and that is, how much should you vent? We found some really great information from a building science person, company, institution, who works really hard to clarify and refine building codes. We obviously don't have building codes here, so we're kind of on our own a little bit. So we found an article that helped us to compute the net free ventilation area, the NFVA. The answer for us is about 70 linear feet of ventilation with the stuff that we have. We just happen to have way more than that. But that information is really critical if you're thinking about venting your roof. You want to make sure that you don't have the opposite problem where you have a depressurized roof and you end up sucking air through your roof. I hope all that made sense.
Should we link to that in this video, Jesse?
I think that's probably going to be the best thing.
I think it's going to bore most of you to death, and if you don't have a reason to learn it and you don't have a morbid curiosity, don't. But for those of you with a morbid curiosity, or you want to learn more, it's a good read, and I think it really helped us distill if we wanted to go down that path or not.
You have to learn the right questions to ask, and this article, if you're thinking about building any kind of structure, doesn't matter whether it's a shed or a mansion, definitely will help you.
So the cold roof, we estimated, what did we estimate for how much more it would cost? What's the insurance policy?
Right, the insurance policy, I think we figured out it would actually be maybe around $2,000
extra,
$2,000 to $3,000 total. But we could have certainly cheapened the secondary roof, so we chose to go with plywood as a substrate because it's just superior. I guess that's my opinion. I can't. That's very subjective. I feel plywood is superior in many, many ways. So we could have probably cut the price in half if we would have chosen OSB. But yeah, that's the price of the insurance policy.
So all this mumbo jumbo is one reason the roof isn't on yet. Not as simple as other roofs. And it's taken quite a while to research and figure this stuff out because people, and especially people in this area, don't go this route at all. Most people don't timber frame, most people don't use SIPs, most people don't build cold roofs. You get the idea. You ready to paint?
Yeah. You said earlier that the sound of this sprayer is gonna bring back some PTSD though.
Oh, it totally will.
So a lot of folks here might not know that before Alyssa and I came on this journey, we brought back a house that was less than desirable to livable, but we did it while living there. We still own many things that are covered in the paint.
Yeah.
Anyway, time to paint.
Jesse gave this a shake and it exploded all over his shirt.
My face, is it on my...
Nice. No, it's not. It's on the collar of your shirt though. Off to a good start.
Blend in with the foam. I know, let's put this in a can that spills all over the place. I have an idea.
So I'm going to try to prime this because we only bought 1 quart of paint. So I need to prime the sprayer with Xylol, and then we'll suck the paint in, and then we'll run behind it with Xylol again. Hopefully we can get all this done with 1 quart.
Takes half a quart to prime.
Yep.
We were warned.
Yeah, they said buy a gallon. We'll see.
Come on, baby, last one.
Last one.
Holy catfish, we made it by a nubbin.
Oh, really?
Son of a... Can you tell me if this is all over my face?
Yeah, it's all over your forehead. It's not empty now. It's getting low, but it's still submerged. How does it feel to blast yourself in the face
Yeah,
unexpectedly?
it's pretty freaking awesome.
At least you had safety glasses on, right?
Yeah, safety glasses and respirator, but still got me in the eye.
But you had safety glasses on.
Yeah, but it still got me in the eye. Like, figure that out.
Well, that was a rough start to painting. Been a long time. We're kind of in a time crunch. It's been a really long day chasing materials and running errands. It feels like life is once again getting ahead of us. We actually, tonight, believe we're running out of water for the first time. So, because showers are important tonight and dinner, Alyssa is gonna book it and grab some water. I'm gonna try to work on getting things cleaned up and get ready for some rest. It's gonna be a crazy weekend.
Well, I'm thankful for my safety glasses because I think they saved me from about half of a face of paint, but certainly not all of it. I'm curious if I clean these, if I'll lose them, whether the Zylol will just melt the plastic this is made out of. Thanks for getting our family water.
You're welcome.
I'll help you hook up.
You can't even like flush the toilet.
Oh no!
Pretty bad.
Oh, bugaboo! Ah! Okay, I'll help you hook up.
I really hope we could just pump it seamlessly.
I'm pretty sure we'll be able to.
I wondered when we were gonna run out of water. I feel like we should have a long time ago, so.
Yep.
Hang in there, love.
It's the garden. It's the garden's fault.
You know what I just realized? I just removed the Casey Neistat from my sunglasses. What the heck? I should have left them the way they were. They were a work of art.
So the hardware store warned us that we might not have enough paint. And they were kind of right for the sprayer. We still have over a cup of paint in here, but it's just not enough sprayer to prime. And I wasn't sure whether we were allowed to thin this paint or not. So I'm going to tuck my tail between my legs and I'm going to finish the job with a paintbrush. The only thing we did not complete were these little lips. Just this little lip right here. All this will be covered. This will be against the house, Everything else looks great. All of that looks wonderful. And right about here, we started running into thinner. And you can see that we just ran out of paint. Guys, do you know what that is? What do you think it is? It's a bat. Look at him, he's super cute. He's been running around the garage eating bugs. Isn't that cool? I wonder if I can go get the bigger lens and get an even better photo. I'll bet I could get him full frame. Hopefully I don't scare him away. Look at him, cute little guy. Oh my gosh. There's two of them. There's one behind that piece of wood right there. He just flew back in there.